So this is my suburban habitat, my suburbitat, and I'm going to survive here. Nice Tennessee humid heat. Not sure how to start this video or where it's going to go, but kind of the point is during my during the initial stages of getting everything set up, I had got a bunch of soil prepared and had got some starts going, and I believe this was in February, and actually I started the starts in February, so probably about March, the end of March or something, I decided I was going to build me some planter boxes, little 1 square foot planter boxes out of 1x6 pine. And I had some extra slats that came off some old bunk beds that I used for the bottoms.
Sensitive, or particularly today, they hear something, they misinterpret it and twist it.
Now, we've had the discussion about the depth of the box, so it was kind of a waste of time doing the little 6-inch box. And now I did use them. I have used them. In fact, there's a couple of them out there that are still being used. But really, it was a waste of time going down and trying to pick out that pine, and especially when it comes to where you're trying to prepare a system and you're trying to do it on as meager as a budget as you can, so you can use the money for better resources. I have to admit, it was just a waste of time and a waste of money to build those boxes. Nonetheless, I did build them. They have been used. So what I did was I got 8-foot 1x6 pieces of pine and some finished nails and some glue. I cut them out so I could have a square foot, and then glued the seams and nailed them together. Then I flipped them upside down. I took those slats and cut them to size, and I put the slats on there, but I put a little gap between each slat so you could have drainage. And I put starts in there, and stuff was looking pretty good for a while. But out of my enthusiasm, I started things way too soon before the last freeze date that I couldn't get them out and get them hardened and ready to go in the garden in time, and there was a lack of sunlight, and they just became anemic. Now I do have a couple that are actually in the garden and living. I have a tomato plant that I know of, and I think a couple cucumbers. But pretty much everything else didn't make it. It was just anemic. Just couldn't do it. So my enthusiasm drove me into some wasted time, some wasted money. So be on the lookout when you're doing stuff and really make sure it's what you want to do. Now I thought that's what I wanted to do. I spent a lot of time looking at the wood, looking at the cost of stuff, and I thought it would be the thing to do, but I think I kind of let my enthusiasm override some of the cons that I was looking at. So for this series, for this video right here, it's just kind of a lesson. It's letting you know we're staying on the timeline here, so of how things are progressing, and so talking about this part of the timeline and letting you know that it was really basically a waste of time. So one channel I've been keeping my eye on watching, channel SustenanceNCovering. The guy, I'm going to give a shout out to his channel, SustenanceNCovering. Wise guy. He thinks everything out to its logical conclusion, and there's no arguing with what he has to say. I mean, he nails it. He's been thinking about it for a long time. Good guy. And he's got some waste not, want not type videos, and that's kind of what inspired as I think back on what I did with building those planters. It was kind of a waste. I could have done something else and saved some money, saved some time, because I spent a lot of time thinking about, or looking around in Home Depots and Lowe's and trying to maybe find scrap wood or something, and I would have been better off using an old bucket or an old can or something like that. Okay, so here's one of those boxes without anything in it. I just relegated it to throwing my little shovels and stuff in, buckets. You can see on the bottom, the slats there, look at the little gap. And there was something trying to grow in there at one time. But you can see the seam here, that glue. I may not have actually glued that, but it was pulling away, so I don't use it for anything right now. Now, remember I told you that one of them plants that I put in there back in February is actually still alive and looking fairly healthy, other than it's still a little plant. But maybe 3 weeks ago he was only about that tall. See, these things were, a couple bucks. I bought a bunch of those for a couple bucks and got a lot more out of them than I did for buying that pine, untreated, finished 1x6 pine. So find yourself something cheap and you'll be much better off.